people. I mean, it just shows how the political elites sit back and get more money and power out of wrecking the planet and wrecking our lives. Why do we let them do it? I want to go to phone calls, Gerald.
Well,
but
just one more minute. And that is what you've just mentioned, and that's what stirred my thought. You said about a general getting killed. Alex, this is the New York Times today. This is where the dead Americans are. They don't make the headlines. When a general gets killed or a, quote, ambassador in Benghazi, then it's news.
That's right.
Then we have to look into this. But when Keith Williams, 19 years old, from Visalia, California, gets killed, he gets way down the bottom of the page, along with the others that are 23 years old, another 23-year-old from Kenosha, Wisconsin, on and on. They keep the little people down at the bottom.
That's right.
But when the big guys get killed, we got to put a commission together. We have to look into it.
I agree. In fact, I meant to make that point earlier that notice how they hype this up. But then when the little people die, when one man dies, you know, it's a tragedy. When 10,000 die, it's a statistic, to quote Joseph Stalin. But I noticed in your magazine on page 14, you have a shot of Cary Grant dressed super sharp, like all the photos I saw of my great-grandfathers and grandfathers when they went out, because you had respect for yourself. You weren't fancy. You weren't a glitter bug. You just, you know, people took you serious. You took them serious. And then it just shows how people dress today with their drawers hanging down around their ankles. And again, McDonald's, I read a study decades ago about this, was the first to put thank you up, throw your trash away. It didn't even lower the price of the food. It just lowered the service, lowered the society's expectations. Nobody pumps the gas for you, gets rid of the entry-level jobs. Car maintenance goes way down. You used to just sit in your car. Now they do it. Now you have to do it. And it's the wall Martians and the people having no concern or not taking it personal that they're being screwed over. I think television did this to us. It turned us into spectator wall Martian zombies. And I think that's why society's gotten so bad, Gerald.
That's part of it. And, you know, we had a conference here last week. It just ended on Sunday. A History Before It Happens conference in Colonial Kingston. They held the meetings at the 1774 Academy. Alex, people came from all over the world. A young man came from Japan. It was his first time to the States, from Australia, from Switzerland, from Oklahoma, from Texas, all over the world. And one of the participants was a priest. And he started talking, and he said that he heard me on Coast to Coast one night and talking about what will change. And I said the only thing that will change, and it goes back to what you were saying with the Trends Journal, is when people have courage, dignity, respect, and passion. And that's what's been lost. They don't have the dignity and self-respect. I'm old enough to remember when you got on an airplane, it wasn't a flying circus. You didn't see a bunch of slobs roll in who could care less about how they looked, how they talked, and how they behaved. So what it is, it's a lowering of the bar of the culture. And they say the fish rots from the head down. I'll tell you when I really saw the change happen. When Slick Willie Clinton ran for president. Now remember, we were used to Eisenhowers and Kennedys. We were used to men of dignity and courage. And all of a sudden, a clown rolls out with a pair of sunglasses on and playing a bad saxophone on Arsenio Hall. How's that for a presidential presence? And it just kept getting lower. Now you have Obama during the last campaign and all the rest of them yucking it up on The View and sitting around with little comics, little boys, the Colberts and the Stewarts, the Lenos and the Lettermans. Let's get this straight. When you have to go to a comic to get your news, you can see how stupid the whole society's become. It's one every night is Freak Night on TV when the presidents, The prime ministers and the joint chiefs of staff yuck it up with the clowns. The whole bar has been lowered. So the fish rots from the head down. They set the pace.
Listen, I want to go to some calls here. We're skipping this network break because I want to get extra time because we lost some time when your Skype broke up. But the last few minutes, be ready to give me your take on Russia and where you think that's going to go. I want to get your prediction on the Ukraine situation and the IS situation. Thomas in California, thanks for holding. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks a lot for being there. I love you guys. I used to listen to Ray Taliaferro. I'm a veteran. And my take at the whole thing is, due to you, Alex, thank you, and bless your soul, Americans are too smart. They need a dumbed-down military and a dumbed-down police force in order to do the one world order. They couldn't have done that with Republicans in. They needed to have the borders open with the Democrats in. Okay? That's the only deal. We got the left hand of the monster and the right hand of the monster. Now, I'd like to know, what are the consequences of our military is now going to take up a good percentage of these lesser educated immigrants that are coming in?
Well, I'm not even that concerned about people that end up becoming part of the military because there's something there. When you've got women with 2 or 3 kids and they're going to be hooked on the Democrats immediately with an agenda that's racially based, I mean, it's bad. That's not the melting pot. That's Thomas's point, listening on KOMY 1340 AM in Santa Cruz, I should add. Gerald, your take on that?
I think you covered it. You know, the issue is a dumbing down throughout, and they're using this again. The immigration issue is very obvious.
Oh yeah, I mean, Americans have turned into 500-pound wall Martians. Yeah. You know, so we're talking about these immigrants all day. We're in bad shape as well. I mean, it's just a mess. But I hear what you're saying, Thomas. It is about bringing in desperate people that think the Democrats are their mommy. Let's talk to Larry in Wyoming. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, first-time caller. I'll try to get to my point quick. I just retired from a practice of periodontics, and I can assure you in the real world with the people that dress right and look right, they're not right. I mean in a biblical sense, and I'm not a religious guy, but I'm saying it's cannibalism. As a periodontist, I was expected to lie and deceive my patients so that I could get referrals to cover for the inadequate care of the general dentists who were destroying the gum health of the patients, waiting to put crowns on all their teeth and then referring. So there's corruption within every industry, I think. It's very...
Oh, yeah, well, there are lots of people that are dressed nice that are predators, and that there's all sorts of stuff that goes... But, of course, society's not perfect either, but I hear what you're saying. Do you have a question for Gerald Celente?
Yeah, the question is, when do you think the point of getting real happens with this culture? Everybody is basically cannibalizing everybody.
Well, listen, exactly. We've gone into a predatory system rather than a production system.
It goes back to morality. As I said, the fish rots at the head from the head down. So let's suppose I'm still the kid that grew up in the Bronx, and I'm hanging out with the guys, and one of my friends has an idea to pull off a heist or anything. And I say to him, hey, that's not right. You know what he'd say to me? What, are you stupid? Everybody's ripping us off. The banks are ripping us off. The government's ripping us off. Oh, and you want to play it straight? That's why morality is important. You have a loss of morality at every level of government. And what people are doing is they're following the leader. There is no morality. Look at the slaughters going around the world without taking a side on any of the issues. Where are the religions talking about this? I don't hear a peep.
Well, I'll tell you what's happening. People watch television 7-8 hours a day, and they just believe the fantasy while the real world's going on around them. The public is asleep. I think that's a big part of it. Let's talk to Red in Texas. Red, what's your question or comment?
Alex and Gerald, good to talk to you. Hey, I'm going to go over something real quick.
Hey, do me a favor, get off your speakerphone real quick.
I'm not on speakerphone.
All right, well, just ask it real quick because it sounds like speakerphone.
No, I'm on my regular phone. I was just asking about Bitcoin. I need to know where to go with the money.
You know, I always say I'm not the right guy for Bitcoin. But to me, it kind of reminds me of the dot-com boom. It's hard for me to grasp it. And it was hard for me to grasp a lot of things that were going on in the dot-com boom, that when it bust, I saw why it bust, because there was nothing behind it. And there are too many different countries with too many different regulations and too many different states. That's my position on it. Having said that, there are those that know a lot more about it and believe in it differently than I do. So that's my take on it. I just don't have a grasp on it that makes me comfortable with it.
I was about to say, I have a bad feeling at the end of the day, but it's now being expressed as a revolution against the big banks. So I get that part. I'm just saying, watch out, folks. Sure, if you want to get involved, that's your issue. I think we're going to start accepting it on the shopping cart because people are demanding it. Big mainline groups are using it. And so when in Rome, do as the Romans. But at the end of the day, I'm not recommending people get involved in it. I'm saying that's a choice by choice for each person.
I would agree exactly what you said. And then I look at the other end of it. Why would I want a Bitcoin that's up in vapor when I could buy gold or silver?
Exactly. So I'll use it. If people want to use it in commerce,
exactly.
I'll use it, transfer it into Fed notes, then transfer it into silver or gold.
Yeah, we take subscriptions, by the way, with Bitcoins. We have no problem doing that, and then we just convert it.
Exactly. I mean, it's the original alchemy. We take fiat Bitcoin or fiat Federal Reserve and then transmute it into property or into crew or into building new projects or into gold and silver.
That's right.
It's amazing alchemy. Let's go ahead and talk to Vince in Montana. Vince, thanks for holding her on the air.
Thank you for taking my call, guys. Hey, Gerald, I've got a question for you. I've been posting stuff on the Internet for 20 years, and I have never run into a problem being blocked or spammed like I have with disinformation. The CDC owns the 4 patents on the Ebola virus. I didn't think much of it at first. I thought, well, maybe they patent everything. But every time I attempt to put that out there, I get blocked, marked as a spammer, deleted. Why do you think they don't want the public to know that the CDC owns the patents for the Ebola virus?
I think Alex can answer that better than me.
Well, it's a complex issue. We don't know exactly what's happening with the Ebola virus, but I know this. They've never brought people into the country that have had it before. It's more recklessness by government. What do you say to that, caller?
Well, I just know that the fact that they have it patented and the fact that it looks like a nicotine-based stops the cytokine storming of the Ebola virus. It looks to me like it's a patent issue. It looks like someone's trying to make money off the cure.
Well, but then how would they be spreading it in Africa? I mean, I hear you. The H1N1 was a fraud to sell vaccine. I hear you. We'll look into it. We don't know all the answers yet. Gerald, sorry to the other callers. Thank you so much for your time. Trendsresearch.com for folks that want to find out more. Invaluable website and journal. And people can see your daily video and audio reports as well. We got 45 seconds left. What do you see happening in Ukraine?
War. And it keeps building up more and more. The sanctions, if you remember, they started off very lightly, and they keep increasing. You have a time now when Europe is still down economically, and it's going to become more and more difficult to do business. And watch for those border incursions into other countries. That's what's going to be a spark for involvement, I believe.
And they say the Ukraine sanctions is what's plunging our economy and stock market, again, hurting everybody, Russians and Americans. But the EU needs a way to try to keep from collapsing, so war's the way to go. Gerald Celente, thank you so much. Coming up live, we're going to have David Knight and the Marine Corps Colonel coming up. David Knight will introduce it next hour. Infowars.com/show to find the free video feeds. Great job, crew. Nightly News Tonight, 7.
In the near future.
When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media
We
operations.
let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime Directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
A popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You gotta set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.